He lived in the cargo bay of a broken freighter. No bed, no blanket, just cold metal and darkness. He was human, but no one remembered his name. Aliens passed him like he didn't exist. The guards pushed him aside like garbage, and the gangs kicked him if he was in their way. Each night he curled up behind rusted crates, holding his stomach too empty to sleep. And each morning he woke before the station lights turned on, before the real trouble came. The boy had no parents. Friends, no home. But he had a secret. He was still alive. And he never gave up. On the edge of Orbital Trade Station 9, where alien ships came and went every hour, the boy moved like a shadow. He knew where to hide, knew how to dig through trash without being seen, and he knew which garbage piles had leftover food or scraps to trade. He used a torn cloth as a mask, covering most of his face. No one saw his eyes that still had some hope left. One day, something changed. He was digging through a stack of broken tech crates near the SPE loading bay. The crates were old, dusty, and marked with alien symbols he couldn't read. The area was quiet, no guards, drones. Just the soft hum of the station's life support systems. He cracked open a crate with a bent metal rod. Most of it was junk wires, rusted panels, smashed circuits. But at the bottom, something pulsed. A soft light. Like silver fire, the boy froze it. Was a glowing orb, no bigger than a melon. Smooth, round, and warm-looking. It hovered slightly above the crate floor, spinning slowly in place. Tiny lines glowed along its surface like veins of light. The boy looked around. No one else saw it. His heart beat faster. He reached out, slowly, carefully, as his fingers touched the orb. It shimmered on. The air grew silent. Everything around him stopped. The wind from the vents, the hum of the station. Even his breath. The orb floated into his hands. Then it spoke. "You are not trash," a soft voice echoed in his mind. "You are chosen." The boy gasped and dropped the orb, but it didn't fall. It hovered in front of him, spinning faster now. The silver lines grew brighter, shining through the cracks in the crate. Suddenly, the orb zipped forward and pressed against his chest. Warmth spread through his body. His skin tingled. His eyes burned. Something ancient, something powerful, flowed into him. He screamed, but no sound came out. Visions flashed in his mind, stars exploding, ships flying faster than light, throne made of light and steel, and a woman-tall alien, with silver skin and glowing eyes, reaching out to him. Then the orb fell silent and dropped into his hands. The station sounds returned. The wind, the lights, the distant yelling of guards and aliens. He staggered back, breathing hard. What was that?" he whispered. His arm shook. His fingers glowed faintly. He felt stronger, lighter, sharper, like something inside him had turned on after a long sleep. Suddenly, footsteps echoed down the hallway. The boy stuffed the orb inside his ragged bag and slipped into the shadows. 2 alien guards passed by, not seeing him. He watched them closely. Something had changed. He knew they wouldn't see him, not unless he wanted them to. He moved deeper into the station's underbelly, faster and quieter than before. That night, he didn't sleep behind the crates. He found a higher spot in old observation deck with a cracked window overlooking the stars. He looked at the orb in his hand. It pulsed again, softly, like it was breathing. "Chosen," the voice whispered once more. "Rise." The boy didn't understand what was happening yet, but deep inside, he felt something growing, power, hope, and danger. Because if this orb was as special as it felt, others would come looking for it. And for him, asterisk. He didn't sleep that night. The stars outside the cracked window looked closer than ever. They blinked and shimmered as if watching him. The silver orb rested near his side, glowing soft and slow, like a heartbeat. It no longer spoke, but he still felt its presence inside him, like a whisper behind his thoughts. Fire in his blood. His fingers still trembled when he remembered the voice. "You were chosen, but chosen for what?" By morning, He could feel it more clearly. Something inside his body was shifting. He moved faster, quieter. He no longer got tired from climbing long ladders or running through tight service shafts. Even his eyes, they saw more. Tails. Heat. Shapes in the dark. He wasn't the same anymore. He tested his new strength in secret. He lifted a large steel pipe, something he couldn't have moved before. His fingers crushed a broken lock with one squeeze. He didn't understand it. But he knew this wasn't normal. Others started to notice, too. The gang boys in the lower markets watched him. With sharp eyes, he walked too confidently now, didn't look away when they came close. One even tried to steal his bag, but the boy moved so fast, the thief's arm twisted before he even blinked. No one saw the orb. He kept it wrapped in cloth, hidden tight under his coat. But even covered, it still pulsed against his chest. Warm. Alive. On the third day, something strange happened. He was near the old junkyard, his usual place for picking parts and trading scrap. While digging through a crushed shuttle, he felt a sudden chill run through his spine. Someone was watching him. He looked up. The crowd was normal dirty traders, slow-moving aliens, loud barkers selling fried bugs and used tools. But then his eyes caught something strange. She stood at the edge of the shadows. Tall, still wrapped in a dark cloak that shimmered with soft silver light. Her face was hidden, but her eyes glowed faint violet, not glowing like tech, glowing like fire from within. He blinked. She was gone, just disappeared. He dropped the scrap in his hand and quickly moved into the back alleys. His heart was racing, but not from fear. That gaze it felt familiar. The same warmth he felt from the orb, the same quiet hum in his blood. Back in the upper pipes, he sat alone and held the orb in both hands. "What are you?" he whispered. "This time," the orb responded, not with words, but with images. They flashed in his mind, quick and bright. A war-torn world. A glowing city falling from the sky. Soldiers running. A silver throne cracking in two. And her, the woman from the shadows, screaming as chains wrapped around her. Then a final image burned into his brain. A dark cage, somewhere deep in this station, and the sound of someone crying. The boy gasped and dropped the orb again. His hands were shaking. His chest hurt like fire. He saw her. She was real, and she was here. He didn't know why, but he had to find her. Something inside told him she was important, not just to the orb, but to him. He began to search. He moved lower into the station, deeper than he'd ever dared before. The lights were weaker here. Pipes leaked steam. The walls were old, cracked, and full of forgotten smells. This was where the cleaners didn't go, where even criminals stayed careful. He followed the sound, not voices, not footsteps, but pain, a heartbeat, faint, but steady. He crawled through a vent, climbed down a shaft, passed by strange lights and symbols he couldn't read. Then finally, he reached a dead-end corridor, one locked by a rusted door, with thick alien markings. The orb glowed harder as he stepped closer. The door responded, hissing open on its own. The air inside was cold, heavy. It smelled like dust and time, and then heard it breathing. He stepped into the dark room. Chains hung from the walls. Old devices blinked weakly. A cage stood in. The center and inside it, curled on the floor, was her. She looked broken. Long silver hair flowed around her. Her skin, a soft shimmer of violet and blue, was covered in bruises. Golden tattoos, once bright, were faded and cracked. Her body shook with each breath. She looked up. Her eyes locked onto his, and in that moment, the whole station seemed to go silent. She didn't speak. She didn't scream. She just stared, like she'd been waiting for him. The boy stepped forward, his heart pounding. She whispered something in a language he didn't understand. Orb glowed brighter in his hand, and somehow the meaning reached him. "Please don't leave me here." He dropped to his knees by the cage. "Who did this to you?" he asked. Her voice trembled. "My own blood. My own people. I refused their crown, so they buried me alive. He reached for the cage door. It didn't open. Her hands slowly reached through the bars and touched his fingers. The orb pulsed, and the chains across her body cracked. He pulled back in shock. The orb hummed louder. Its light spilled over both of them. The old walls groaned. Then, without warning, alarms began to blare across the lower deck. The station had noticed. Something was waking up, and now they would come for him. Asterisk, the alarms echoed like thunder through the old station walls. Red lights blinked to life, flashing across rusted steel and cracked tiles. Pipes hissed as pressure shifted. Somewhere above, metallic voices began to shout in alien tongues. The deep parts of the station, the ones that were long forgotten, were now awake again. He didn't move. Not yet. He stayed there, kneeling in front of her cage, eyes locked on the glowing chains that had just cracked under his touch. The alien woman was still on the floor, trembling, her golden tattoos now pulsing faintly. She looked at him not with fear but wonder, as if she, too, couldn't believe what had just happened. "I don't know your name," he whispered, "but I think I was meant to find you." Her lips parted, voice barely more than a breath. They said, "Only one with the old fire could break the bonds." I didn't believe them. I thought it was a lie to make me suffer longer. His fingers brushed against the final lock. The silver orb hovered beside them now, spinning slowly, its surface bright like a small star. Every few seconds, it pulsed, and each pulse sent a soft wave through the room as if speaking in a language of light. She looked at the orb and gasped softly. "That's not just tech. It's a key." He didn't understand what she meant, but somehow, deep inside, he felt it was true. With a breath, he pressed his palm against the cage door, and the final lock shattered like glass. The door swung open. She fell forward, into his arms. He caught her gently, careful not to hurt her. Her body was light, too light, as if she hadn't eaten in weeks. But the moment her skin touched his, something changed again. A surge of warmth ran through both of them. The silver markings on her arms lit up, bright and alive. The bruises began to fade. Her eyes widened, and she clutched his shirt, whispering fast in her alien language, then stopping, staring into his face. "You're not just a human. You're the link, the one they feared." He helped her to her feet, her legs weak. "We have to get out of here. They're coming." She nodded slowly, eyes fierce despite her condition. "Yes, but they're not just coming for me now. They'll come for you too." Down the corridor, the sound of armored boots. Several of them. The boy grabbed her hand and pulled her into the shadows beside the wall. She stumbled, but he held her up. His mind raced. He'd survived alone for so long, slipped through cracks, climbed into vents, vanished behind storage units. But now he had someone to protect, someone fragile, someone powerful, and he wasn't sure the shadows would hide them anymore. The soldiers peered for tall creatures in black armor with curved helmets. Their weapons were long and humming, ready to fire. One of them stopped in front of the empty, caged. Another pointed toward the still spinning orb in the air. "The seal is broken," it growled. "She's loose. Find her," the leader said, "and kill anyone with her." He didn't wait. The boy pulled the goddess into a tight gap, behind a thick pipe. The moment the guards passed, he whispered, "Hold on." They dropped into a maintenance shaft below, sliding into the dark. The path was tight and twisted, full of sharp metal edges and dangling wires. But he knew the station like the back of his hand. He'd lived in its forgotten corners for years. He knew where the patrols never looked, where the cameras were dead, where the forgotten lived. She followed him without a word. Even weak, she moved with quiet grace, like her body remembered power even if her strength had left her. After nearly an hour of crawling, climbing, and dodging patrols, they reached a hidden compartment in the service level supply room behind. A broken wall panel. Here for the first time, he could breathe. He laid her down on an old mat and found a cracked water flask. She sipped slowly, hands shaking. Her voice was soft now. "You don't even know who I am, do you?" He shook his head. "No, but I know you're not like anyone else I've ever met." She smiled faintly. "They used to call me a goddess, but I was just born different. My bloodline had power, light, energy, memory. I refused to be their puppet, so they locked me away." She looked at him now with more than just gratitude. She looked at him with something like belief. "They said a human would awaken me one day," she whispered. "But humans are all gone, scattered, enslaved, forgotten." Looked down at his hands. "I'm not anyone important," he said, but the orb still floated beside him. She reached up and touched his cheek. "You are now," and her voice changed, stronger this time. "And I promise you this, if you stand with me, I will not forget your name." Outside, the alarms began to fade, but something darker was spreading. The news of a boy awakening the goddess was spreading fast. And far beyond the station, others were listening. He had taken the first step, freed a prisoner forgotten by time. But now the galaxy would know. A human had returned, and he wasn't alone anymore. Asterisk. The news moved faster than sound. Across the deepest parts of Orbital Trade Station 9, through communication nodes, security feeds, bounty networks, and private whispers, one message spread like fire. The goddess has awakened, and worse. She's with a human. They didn't say boy, they said human. As if the word alone had weight. As if the sound of it carried fear. Guards doubled their patrols. Silent mercenaries in dark cloaks arrived from off-world. Drones flew lower and slower, scanning faces. Station-wide alerts flickered on public screens. Warning of a bioenergy spike near Sector G-17. But by then, the boy was already gone. He and the alien goddess were hiding in one of the most forgotten zones of the entire ring station, an old airlock hangar sealed shut after a hull breach decades ago. It smelled of burned steel and frozen dust, but the seals still held. And no one came there anymore. She sat near the wall, resting, her head on her knees. Her strength was coming back slowly. Her skin had regained its soft shimmer. Her golden tattoos, once dim, now flickered with faint energy when she moved. He sat across from her, silent. He didn't know what to say. He had never protected anyone, before never held someone's life in his hands. But now, he felt responsible. Not just for her safety, but for whatever came next. She broke the silence. "They know," staring at the cold floor. "My family? My blood? They know I'm alive." He nodded. "They'll come." She met his eyes. "They already have." Outside the hangar, shadows moved through the pipes, royal enforcers, elite assassins of her own kind, clad in silver and black, moving like smoke, unseen by most, but not by the orb. The boy felt it in his chest. The orb trembled faintly. Its glow turned sharper, more urgent. "They're close," he said. The goddess stood, swaying slightly, but regaining her balance. "If they capture me again, they'll erase my mind this time. Break the connection you just repaired." "I won't let them," he said, stepping forward. She looked at him with something more than trust. "You're not just protecting me, you're becoming part of me." They moved fast, slipping through forgotten access routes and maintenance shafts. The boy knew where the broken cameras were. He avoided heat sensors, skipped metal floors that echoed footsteps, and guided them into the twisting bones of the station, the forgotten foundation of an empire built on lies. Still the assassins. "We're getting closer." At one point, paused. A strange warmth moved through his fingertips, followed by a pulse of information not from the orb, but from the station itself. He touched a panel and it opened. Not just a vent, command port. He stared in shock. The system recognized him. Lines of old Earth code blinked across the screen, code no alien could read. "I think I can control this part of the station," he whispered. The goddess stepped beside him. "That's human tech, old tech, buried under centuries of alien wiring. No one's been able to touch it since Earth fell." He blinked. I can. She looked at him as if seeing him for the first time. You're not just the chosen one, she said. No, the weapon they feared. Suddenly, heavy footsteps rang out down the hall. Not just one set, several. The boy grabbed her hand and ran. They burst through a rusted bulkhead into a small chamber lined with cryopods and dusty lockers. Old earth flags, torn and faded, hung on the walls. A memory room. He slammed the door, shut behind them, and pulled a broken console to block it. But before he could speak, the ceiling cracked open. A dark figure dropped into the room, silent, deadly. An enforcer. He stood tall, with silver armor molded to his body and a face hidden. Behind a mirror visor, his voice was smooth, cold. You've stolen royal property, he said. Step away from the goddess. The boy stepped in front of her. The enforcer raised a long, spear-like weapon. You are not her equal, human. Move. I won't, he said, voice calm but firm. The orb flared. The boy's fingers lit up with white-blue light. His body burned with sudden force. Like fire had filled his veins. The enforcer hesitated. Too late, the boy launched forward, not with a weapon. Not with training, but with instinct. He moved faster than the eye could follow. He slammed into the eye. Enforcer's chest with a glowing fist. The armor cracked. The spear clattered to the ground. The enforcer flew across the room and hit the far wall, sliding down in silence. The goddess stared in awe. You channeled ancient human energy, she whispered. You don't even know what you are, do you? He looked at his hands, still glowing. No, he said. But I know they're going to regret coming after us. Suddenly, the room around them lit up. The old flags rippled. Broken terminals blinked awake. A hidden panel opened, revealing a path downward lit with the same blue light as the orb. She stepped forward, her voice full of wonder. This was a human sanctuary. He nodded, and I think we just found the entrance to something bigger than both of us. The goddess reached for his hand, but before their fingers touched, another light flared from deep below, and a voice, ancient and mechanical, whispered from the glowing path. Welcome back, human commander. Shall we begin the reactivation sequence? Asterisk, the voice echoed through the hidden chamber like a ghost from Earth's past. Welcome back, human commander. Shall we begin the reactivation sequence? The boy didn't answer. He couldn't. His mouth was slightly open. His heart thundered. His hands trembled. Not from fear, but from something bigger, something deeper. The alien goddess stood frozen beside him, eyes wide, golden tattoos pulsing across her skin. Voice, she whispered, it's from the precursor core. This place, it's not just a sanctuary. It's a human command site. The room around them shimmered. Lights that hadn't blinked in centuries came to life, one after the other. The dust on the floor lifted gently as systems powered on. Symbols of Earth enchant, bold and proud, appeared on the walls and glowing. Blue Dot, the boy, took a slow breath and stepped forward. He didn't understand how, but the system responded to him like it had been waiting. The ground below shifted, and a hidden staircase extended downward, spiraling into a soft blue light. I have to see where it leads, he said. She nodded, her voice quieter now. Then I'm with you. Together, they descended. Each step hummed. Under their feet, as they moved deeper, the air grew warmer, denser with energy. They passed old steel doors marked in Earth script, weapon locker, tactical core, gene archive, all sealed until one opened. It led to a chamber unlike anything he had. Seen, circular, metallic, the walls were lined with pods, dozens, maybe hundreds. Most were broken or dark, but some still flickered with soft white light. The center stood, a massive control pillar, wrapped in glowing rings. At the base was a circular platform, and next to it, suit, not just any suit. A human battlesuit, silver, sleek, covered in ancient etchings and glowing channels. It looked like armor made for a god. The boy stepped toward its hand. The orb floated beside him, pulsing faster, brighter than the suit responded. It unfolded slowly, rising taller, its chest cavity opening like a flower. The voice returned, calm. Machine perfect. Biometric match confirmed. Human origin. Last of Earth's bloodline. Initiating sync protocol. He stared at the goddess. Is this real? Her voice shook. You're wearing the bones of the last human generals. Is forbidden armor. Only those with Earth's original code can touch it. He stepped into the suit. It sealed around him like a second skin. Not heavy, not cold. It felt right. It moved with him, not against him. His vision sharpened. He could feel the energy inside it. The moment the armor closed, he felt his mind open. A flood of knowledge poured in. Maps, languages, coordinates to places lost to the stars, ancient tactics, human history. Wars fought long before he was born. And something else. Something locked deep inside the armor's memory. A face, a woman, a last message. If you're seeing this, then we failed. Our fleets were scattered. Our enemies erased, our name from the stars. But you are our echo, our return. Make them remember, he gasped, falling to one knee. The goddess ran to him. What did you see? He looked at her with new eyes. I saw the end of my people, and I saw their last wish, to rise again. Suddenly, a sharp alarm shrieked from the upper decks. Then a second, and a third. The chamber above them was no longer safe. The assassins had tracked them. More were coming. Dozens now, with heavier weapons, with orders to kill. The boy stood, armor glowing bright white blue. The orb hovered beside his shoulder, like a tiny moon. He turned to her. They'll come through that corridor in minutes. She nodded slowly. Then we fight. She stepped forward. The moment her hand touched the glowing platform, energy rushed through her body. Her golden tattoos erupted with light. Her weak frame straightened. Her voice grew steady. The room responded to her as well. She has royal access, the system spoke. Genetic command authorization confirmed. It's activating. Dual-user combat interface. The lights in the chamber brightened. Holographic maps appeared in the air. Weapons unlocked. Shields shimmered to life across the doorway. And then a wall panel slid open, revealing something massive behind it. A ship, small, sleek, and deadly. A human stealth fighter, one of the last ever built. Hidden, protected, alive. The boy stared. Speechless. The goddess stepped beside him, her voice firm now. This isn't just survival anymore. This is our return. Above them, the ceiling shook. Explosions, boots shouting, they're here. She whispered. He nodded. No, he said. We're here. As the door burst open and the first assassin stepped through, the goddess raised her hand. Energy exploded from her fingertips, sending him flying. The boy moved next silent. Fast and precise Dharma and orb, synced as one. They didn't run. They struck back and across the galaxy. Something ancient stirred an old satellite still orbiting. A dead world-Earth. It blinked, scanned, then sent a signal out into the void. Human signal reactivated. Earth core recognized, awaiting instruction. The war wasn't coming. It had already begun. Asterisk, the first wave of assassins didn't stand a chance. The boy, no longer just a starving shadow in the station, moved like lightning in human form. His body and armor worked as one, every motion fast, clean, powerful. Where once he had hidden from guards and gangs, now he faced enemies trained to key land, pushed them back with glowing fists and sharp strikes. Beside him, a Dalian goddess fought with fire in her blood. She was no longer weak or trembling. Her golden tattoos flared with every movement. She floated slightly above the ground, her energy lifting her, driving her, feeding her strength. Together, they were unstoppable, and yet they were outnumbered. The second wave arrived, then a third. Every corridor filled with enemies. More ships docked to the station. Royal guards, mercenaries, bounty hunters. They all came for the same reason. To take her back and destroy the human before he became something. they couldn't control. They didn't realize. It was already too late. Inside the control chamber, the human stealth fighter powered up. Its engines hummed with ancient tech. Its panels glowed with old Earth scripts. Its weapons came online, responding to the boy's presence. The ship had waited, slept, and now it woke with purpose. "We have to go," the goddess said. "They'll send dread ships next." He nodded. "We're not running, we're rising." He carried her to the fighter, and as they entered, the ship greeted him. Pilot recognized. Earthlink established. Activating Starvale protocol. The cockpit wrapped around him like a second armor. The interface adapted to his mind. The goddess sat beside him, linking her energy to the ship's systems for the first time in generations. A human ship and an alien goddess shared one purpose, and the galaxy would feel it. The ship launched, not out through the normal hangar gates but through a hidden tunnel buried beneath the station. It tore through the station walls like a silent blade, slipping into space undetected for the first few seconds. Then alarms screamed again across the whole system. The voice of the station's central AI rang out in panic. Unauthorized launch. Human vessel identified. Origin class Starvale. Priority threat level red. The boy's hands flew over controls he had never seen before but somehow knew exactly how to use. He didn't run in circles like prey. He cut through the traffic lanes like a ghost. Behind them, massive alien cruisers gave chase. Fighters swarmed. Missiles locked on. The goddess turned her head toward him, voice calm despite the chaos. "Let me link to your thoughts." He hesitated. "Why?" "Because your instincts can fly this ship, but my mind can bend space around it." He reached out. Their hands touched. In that instant, the cockpit exploded with light. The orb, still floating between them, spun faster than ever, then sank into the ship's core. Like a seed finding its soil, everything changed. Time bent, stars blurred, and the ship vanished. It didn't jump. It didn't warp. It simply disappeared from one point. It appeared in another, far beyond the station, far beyond the chasing fleet. Safe but not alone, as the boy gasped. Still holding her hand, a signal blinked on the console. Earth's core. Response detected. The goddess leaned forward. "Something found us." The screen lit up with coordinates. A beacon pulsed in a distant part of space far from trade routes, hidden behind dead systems and silent black holes. The message was simple. Human origin signal verified. Return to cradle. He looked at her. "What's the cradle?" Her face was unreadable. "The last memory of Earth. A place we thought lost. A place no one ever found." He leaned back, breathing heavy. "We're being called home." She reached out and gently touched his cheek. "Maybe you were never meant to survive in the gutters. Maybe you were always meant to wake the stars." The moment didn't last. A second signal arrived, but this one wasn't from Earth. It was from the enemy. A cold, synthetic voice hissed through the speakers. "To the human, surrender the goddess and the core. You are not ready for what lies ahead. Turn back, war. Be erased." The ship shook slightly. She leaned closer. "They found us. Even from this distance, they're watching." The boy stared at the screen, then at the glowing stars beyond. "I'm not turning back," he said. "You're not afraid?" She asked softly. He smiled just a little. "I've already seen the bottom. What's left to fear?" She laughed. For the first time, it was warm. It's real. Then she sat back, her expression serious again. "We need allies. If you want to return to the cradle, we'll need protection." "From who? From those who remember the old wars? From those who still fear the name human? Do they still exist?" She nodded. "Scattered. Hiding. Waiting. But if we show them that Earth has risen again, they'll come." He looked down at his hands, still glowing faintly from the link. "And if they don't?" She smiled again, fiercer this time. "Then they'll remember us after we win." In the dark silence of space, the human ship turned and headed straight for the cradle of a forgotten world, where Earth's last weapons still waited to be born again. Asterisk. The cradle wasn't on any map. It wasn't a planet or a moon, or even a station. It was a massive ring of ancient Earth design, hidden inside a hollowed asteroid at the edge of a black zone. Dead systems surrounded it. Radio silence. No traffic. No light. But when the boys' ship approached, the entire asteroid pulsed once, as if it had been asleep for centuries, and now opened its eyes. He and the goddess stared through the cockpit window. The structure was enormous, twisting. Towers of steel, massive rings locked in orbit around a glowing core with drifting ships docked in stillness. Some were broken, some were barely alive, but all of them were human. The goddess spoke first. This is Earth's final vault, the place they built when the end came. He said nothing. His heart was pounding. He didn't know why, but it felt like returning to a place he'd never been and yet always belonged. The ship guided itself through an invisible tunnel of light. No controls, no steering. Just gravity and memory. As they entered the cradle, the interior lit up. Slowly, softly, ancient banners unfolded from the ceiling, symbols of Earth's old unity, of lost nations, forgotten heroes. The voice from before returned calm, warm, familiar. Commander confirmed. Earthlink stabilized. Welcome home. The boy stepped out of the cockpit slowly. The floor beneath him adjusted to his steps, recognizing his weight, his presence. The orb floated ahead, its glow now pure white. Then the chamber doors opened, and he saw them. Hundreds. Maybe. More humans. Some were cryo-frozen, others sat silently. In deep meditation, all wore the crest of Earth. Their bodies bore scars of war, time, and sorrow. But their hearts, he could feel them, were still alive. The goddess moved beside him. These are your ancestors, your defenders, your legacy. They didn't die. It waited. A voice echoed through the hall. It wasn't synthetic. It was human. An old man, wrapped in faded armor, stepped forward. His eyes locked on the boy. "We thought we were finished," the man said. "We thought Earth's last hope had burned out. But the core never lies. You're the one we stored the last flame for." The boy opened his mouth, but no words came. He didn't feel like a hero. He still remembered the cold metal floors of the cargo bay, the hunger, the silence, the way the galaxy stepped over him like garbage. But now, they looked at him like he was fire come to life. The old man gestured. "Come. You've awakened her, the last royal of the galaxy, and you've reignited the human fire. You're not just one of us now, you're our future." The boy walked forward. The humans standing near began to kneel. Even the goddess lowered her head for a moment. It was too much, but he didn't run. He stepped to the center platform. The orb descended into the floor. A great light filled the cradle, and then the Earth's fleet powered on. Ships that had waited in darkness lit up one by one. Their engines roared, their weapons unlocked, their flags rose, satellites blinked awake. Signal buoys scattered into the stars. The galaxy trembled. The same signal reached the corners of the Empire that had once crushed humanity, and in every royal hall, every war council chamber, every throne built on Earth's ashes, they stared at their screens in dread, because for the first time in 600 years, Earth had responded. The boy turned to the goddess. She looked at him not as a savior, or a soldier, or even a symbol, but as a man. She smiled gently. "You came from nothing, but you gave me everything." He took her hand. "I never thought I'd be more than just another body on the floor," he said. "Now the stars are listening to me." She leaned into him, her voice soft. "Then tell them who you are." He looked up. He stepped to the command panel. No, with one breath, one word, he brought the silence to an end. Human, at a fleet, launched across the galaxy. Lights turned red. Alarms screamed. The empires that once ruled without fear now looked to the stars above and saw something impossible. The humans had returned,